afternoon and welcome to Biztech's Asian Midday Market Watch, powered by Rajhi Bank Malaysia. Lee Kian Soon, founder and CEO of Astral Asset Management, is our guest today. Kian Soon, great to have you on the show once again.
Good afternoon.
Now, Kian Soon, before we get your insights, I'm going to take us through what crypto markets are going for now and crypto prices, as well as regional stock market numbers. We've got Bitcoin at 20,545.4. It's up 2.3%. Ethereum is at 1,197.82. It's up 8.27%. Looking across to regional stock markets, we start with the SGX. That's up 0.39%. Bursa Malaysia is down 0.04%. Shanghai is down 0.029%. The ASX All Ordinaries is down 0.8%. The Nikkei is up 0.63%. The Hang Seng is up 1.29%. And rounding up the numbers, we've got the Kospi, which is up 0.29%. Now, Kian Soon, what's your view on market performance in the first half of the day?
I think if you look at what is happening this week with the inflation numbers being announced in United States, the markets have not been performing globally. Similar for today, I think the markets have turned into very cautious mode as we await, the interest rates announcements coming towards the end of the month.
Yeah, and also Kian Soon, I think what took the market by surprise yesterday was the tightening of policy in Singapore, and then also Philippines raising rates by 75 basis points, and the previous day Canada raising rates by a whopping 1%. Now, what's your take on the Singapore MAS moves in particular?
Right. I think what we have seen is the emerging markets as well as Europe and Japan central banks are all playing catch up, responding to US Fed announcements. The MAS announcements recently was also a response to that, as Singapore doesn't control interest rates, but rather we control the exchange rate mechanisms, and that is to make sure that the Sing dollar could actually has some strength versus sliding down right down the exchange rate ladder, which would not help the inflationary situation in Singapore as well.
Now, Kenzo, speaking of exchange rates, the euro and the US are almost at parity. That's not happened since, I believe, December 2002. What's your take on that? And also the US dollar yen reaching 140?
As we know, both central banks in Europe and Japan have not responded to any form of interest rate increase. As a result of, in Europe, there is a ongoing war between Russia and Ukraine. The European growth is definitely affected by the rising fuel prices. And a result of, in Japan, we could see that they have long periods of slow economic growth. Any form of decisions by their central governments to increase interest rate would ultimately means that the economic growth could be slowed down, which is why they're hesitating. As a result of their actions, we could see that the exchange rates as a result of euros and yen are not doing so well, and that could be reflected in their exchange rates.
So then, looking ahead to the second half of 2022, obviously it seems like a global economic slowdown is all but a certainty. What are the implications for markets?
I think as we speak, right, as analysts look at this is like a nightmare, in a slow motion train. You knew these things are going to happen because of the ultra high inflation. The tightening by various central governments will happen, and the markets have so far, tried to reflect this situation, and that's why we could see that in the first half of 2022, the markets have performed atrociously across. And it's across asset classes as well as across geographies that we have witnessed. Second half is not going to be much easier. Unfortunately, the global slowdown that the markets anticipate as interest rate starts to creep itself up to fight inflation. As the economy slows down, a lot of business are not going to do well, and people will be keeping a close watch on the earnings that is happening now in various markets. And as a result, if the earnings reflect that there is a slowdown, as businesses cope with higher prices, as business cope with the shortage of manpower, etc., the markets are definitely going to be affected sliding down because of the fact that the business are not doing well.
And so, Kian Soon, what does this impact emerging markets? Because as you pointed out earlier in the show, essentially emerging market central banks are playing catch up to rates rises.
I think for emerging markets, the markets that have to be careful are the net importers, because they are going to be very sensitive to all the food products, the fuel prices increase. If you are emerging markets and you are actually a strong exporter of food supplies or fuel or commodities, like the palm oil and all this, you could actually have a strong, actually in a stronger position, regardless, because of the interest rate rise led by the US Fed. The emerging markets currencies could see a softening in the coming next 6 to 12 months, as there are two reasons. One is the differential of interest rates. The second is the move to a safe haven currency like the US dollars.
So Kian Soon, then sectorally, what should we be watching out for that we could put our money in?
Sectorially, I think in the first 6 months, the commodity sector has done very well. I would urge cautions that from investors' perspective, that this is not going to be such a smooth ride in the coming 6 months, as a lot of commodity prices have hit all-time highs. I think there will be some mild corrections when it comes to soft commodities, and we have seen that for example, in the price of palm oil. It has actually started to creep downwards and slide downwards. So commodities no longer such an easy play. In terms of being the sectors to watch out for, I would say continue to look for defensive sectors, as we are in a very volatile market situations. Defensive sectors referring to markets or companies that have very strong cash flows to back up and to support the coming growing crisis situation that we are witnessing globally.
Now, Kian Soon, as always, thank you very much for your insights. Thanks for coming on the show.
Thank you.
Now, we've been speaking to Lee Kian Soon, founder and CEO of Astral Asset Management, on Biztech's Asian Midday Market Watch, powered by Rajhi Bank, Malaysia. I'm Brian Fernandez. This video and podcast will be on our various social media platforms, as well as our website, www.biztech.asia. Please like and subscribe to our various platforms. Thanks again for tuning in.